Namaskar everyone, this is Guru Prakash, Fellow at India Foundation. Welcome to the India Foundation Chintan podcast series. Today we have with us Professor Sunaina Singh. Professor Singh is a Vice Chancellor of Nalanda International University. She is also among one of the most prominent women Vice Chancellors in the South Asian region. She is also the Vice President of Indian Council for Cultural Relations, New Delhi. She was the first Indian woman to function as the President of the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute, a binational research organization controlled by MHRD India and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Canada, which has its headquarters in New Delhi and Calgary. Professor Singh has been an institution builder all her life and a thorough academic, an eminent thinker, and someone who is very articulate in voicing her concerns on gender issues, cultural issues, historical issues, and now as the Vice Chancellor of one of the premier institutions of not only the country but of the region as well. Welcome, Professor Singh. How are you?
Namaskar. Thank you, Guru. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
All good, ma'am. So we have this conversation with eminent people, with leading administrators, leading activists who are thought leaders in their own realm. So it was decided that we have a conversation with you on institution building. What has been your journey? How has been your experiences? And what are the learnings which you can share for future leaders and future administrators like us and many others associated with the India Foundation and even at large? Without any further delay, we would like to start the conversation, ma'am. Like I said, you have always been an institution builder in your professional life. What were the three important challenges that awaited you in building or rather rebuilding the Nalanda International University? Can you give us a historical background and the sort of perspectives, the sort of deliberations that went into?
Nalanda University was established by an act of parliament in the year 2010, as you know. It was in the year 2007 that Bihar Legislative Assembly, that our former President of India, Abdul Kalamji, had mooted the idea of re-establishing Nalanda University. And that's when the journey and the thought process of establishing Nalanda started in earnest. I think the government of India in the ASEAN meet voiced its desire to restart or re-establish Nalanda. And that's when we find that the East Asian Summit members agreed. So initially there were 6 and then 9 members. Today we have 16 participating countries who have supported the establishment of Nalanda University. The Honorable Chief Minister of Bihar was gracious enough to give Nalanda University nearly 500 acres of land, 460 to be exact, at Rajgir, approximately about 9 kilometers away from ancient Nalanda. The idea was to recreate a new Nalanda in the spirit of the ancient Nalanda University. So the ancient Nalanda University, as we all know, was a seat of learning, seat of wisdom, spirituality, learning, philosophy, statecraft, economics, arthashastra and astronomy, vastu shastra, defense studies, apart from Buddhism, the religious studies. And Sanskrit was the main language in which they taught here. The new Nalanda, an endeavor was made by the collective wisdom of both the state and the central government, taking along with them the participating countries. And they thought that this institution should be an international institution. Now, this is also an institute of national importance, as per our act again. The classes, though, the journey, I think you were asking, where have we moved and what are the challenges that I have faced. Now, 2014, the classes commenced at Rajgir while Honorable Minister Sushma Swaraj ma'am was the EAM and Amartya Sen was the Chancellor. The then Vice Chancellor moved here, or they commenced the classes here. Now, I came roughly about 3 years back. You know, the journey that I have undertaken, because you've asked me for 3 challenges. When I looked at Nalanda, The first thing that I looked at was the land, and I was faced with a barren land of sprawling 460 acres, nothing on the land. And I thought to myself, how am I going to create it? Because the first or the foremost important thing for any institution is the infrastructure. So my challenges started from there. So absence of infrastructure here. When I say infrastructure, what I meant was residences. We had hired a couple of hotels, so there weren't enough rooms. So we couldn't take in more students. There was no medical support system. We are in Rajgir. There were no labs adequate. There was just one small lab. So today we have almost about 4 labs that we have created. So infrastructure was a huge issue here. The second challenge that I found was that there was no security, job security, career security to my faculty or employees here, because our salaries are yet to be approved. To get a pool of talent, a good pool of talent in any institution, it's very essential that we provide security. The absence of courses. When I came in, there were 3 master's programs. So my journey in the past 3 years is from 3 master's courses. Today we have about 13 courses. So from 3 schools, we have graduated to 6 schools. We are moving forward.
I'm sure we are soon going to resolve the third challenge as well under your supervision and leadership, ma'am. For one, I'm personally grateful and indebted that since I come from the state and as an academic, I can myself foresee the far-reaching implications of such an eminent institution in my own state and what sort of unimaginable potentials it has, not only for the region, but for the entire state and for the citizens as well. But just to be the devil's advocate, ma'am, I think Bihar, like any other state, is notoriously famous for the inordinate bureaucratic delays, the red tapeism. What was your experience? What are your suggestions for aspiring academic administrators in those terms, ma'am?
One should persevere, and the grit and determination that is required, and the vision that you need to carry with you. Given the larger vision of the institution, you must create your own vision. That's what our imaginative factor gives to us. So we need to imagine a new beginning, which is on a international template. Because I believe the fundamental telos for a robust teaching, learning, research experiences, that you have an institution that is competent and flexible enough as well as autonomous to run its own courses, to carve a niche for itself. These are important things. Where bureaucratic hassles are concerned, top level, wonderful. I'm an academic, so don't expect me to be diplomatic here. I think it's very good. We have at the ministerial level, we have all the support, including the Chief Minister here, the EAM, be it Sushma Swaraj ma'am or Jaishankar ji, or even our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, has gone out and announced a number of fellowships for Nalanda University. So at no point should the country forget that we are international in character. It's very important that we have the concept of Vishwaguru in today's context. We need to reimagine. We need to move forward with fortitude. So we deliver what we propose to do.
Ma'am, like any individual, ideas and institution also evolve with time. And I have personally seen it happening in your case, because the Chief Minister in one of our Dharma Dhamma conferences suggested a center on dispute resolution and peace, as Rajgir has been a seat for that. So what are some of the new innovative courses and the centers that have come up in your tenure, and how is it going to cater the students from international community specifically?
It's going to cater largely to the international community, But this is not to say that it does not cater to at the national level. Our international students have risen from a mere 25% to 107% now. We have more number of international students than national students. But then let me come back to the subject, the schools that, we had three schools: ecology and environment, historical studies, and Buddhist studies, philosophy, and comparative religion. Today we have three more schools that we have envisioned and we started. One is School of Languages and Literature, that sort of gives all the short-term programs right now, along with critical thinking, academic writing, some of the new things. So these courses go on round the year and hugely popular with the local people in Bihar. The other school that I have started is Business Management in relation to Public Policy and Development Studies. So this academic year, we embark on an MBA program on sustainable development. So we have very positive response for our admissions. So hopefully we have infrastructure to house larger number of students. Now the third school is School of International Relations and Peace Studies. This is where the conflict resolution and peace studies. There's a Center for Conflict Resolution, which my governing board has approved November last. So we're already working on that. So that's one center. The other center that is approved is Bay of Bengal Studies Center. So these are research centers. So we're very soon going to have postdoctoral research here. We're going to have discussions. We're going to have forums here for the governments across, and also the architects of the government or policies, as well as the educationists. Then I've started another center which has again been approved by MEA, and that is Common Archival Resource Center. Because this was one of my dreams when I came here, that we must be able to archive all our ancient knowledge and wisdom. How do we do that unless we archive, unless we connect with countries across, particularly in Southeast Asia, who are our natural partners? There's civilizational linkages that we have. There's spirituality and heritage that has bound us together for many, many years now. So I think connecting with all those resource centers there and creating a pool of, so that anywhere in the world people can look at various courses or various resources that should be available for them. We also have started a number of diplomas. So we've graduated from 3 master's programs to about 12 to 13 programs in a matter of 2.5 years. So the courses seem to be going, because I firmly believe that the academic architecture is the prime mover in an institution. And I personally believe that if we do not risk, we fail. So that is where we should have the grit and determination to experiment with new things, bring about, because this should establish the identity of Nalanda in a different mold from central universities and state universities, have its own character, and reach out to the entire world. So this is where we will have 3 centers, 6 schools. So these are the developments. Building an academic architecture. I have done a SWOT analysis in the very first month after I came here of all the missing gaps and built an academic architecture. We have got an academic audit done. We have a cafeteria, interdisciplinary cafeteria model courses. We have we've been adding to our courses. We have a lab now on RIS, remote sensing. So we have ecology and environment has a lab. Where construction is concerned, I'm sure we all need to be very happy about this. We moved from mere 0.28% to 72%. I'm sitting in my new campus, and we've been functioning from here since December 2019. This semester, classes were held in the new campus. We have our labs here, we have our mini auditorium, we have our classrooms, teaching block, the faculty block is ready, administration wing 1 is ready. You have been here, so you know. And we should be ready. Had it not been for COVID, perhaps we would have completed, but even now it's not too late. By December end, hopefully we will be done with all our construction, so we will have our infrastructure ready by then. So we are on working on an accelerated pace while paying attention to policies on one hand, building an academic architecture at another level. At a third level, this has been most challenging. The administrative and financial governance structure here has been very weak. You know, this is a legacy that I have inherited. To get good people without giving them job security, to work on it has been a challenge. We'll hopefully, we are working on it. As I said, we are work in progress. Where administration, the cogs on the wheel need to be tightened still, some of it.
3 centers, 6 schools, MBA in sustainable development, a center on dispute resolution also coming, and the sort of synergy that is there in terms of soft infrastructure and the hard infrastructure, that is something which is really amazing. Ma'am, under your stewardship, we saw one of the historical conferences happen, and I was fortunately a part of which the Honorable President of India, His Excellency Shri Ramnath Kovind, was here, along with delegations from more than 20 Southeast Asian countries and beyond as well. And like in terms of events, because events are a great outreach mechanism, regardless of all the logistical inconveniences and the difficulties, we were able to pull off such a successful event. So although now is COVID, but eventually in terms of event, what is your vision and what are your ideas of giving your students some exposure and also the state some exposure in terms of academics and ideas?
As I said, we have envisioned a Nalanda that would cater, that would reach out to students across the world, and hopefully we have a new breed of thought leaders, well grounded in philosophy of history, philosophy of mathematics, philosophy of science and religion, looking at various aspects. Now, coming events are an explication of our academic caliber.
Right.
You know? So, for Nalanda University, it was a huge advantage to tie up with India Foundation, because the two Dhamma conferences that we held international level, the first one we had the Honorable President of India, the Governor of Bihar, the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister, the Secretary, MEA, along with the directors of India Foundation. So Nalanda is very fortunate in this, in tying up with India Foundation per se. But we have also tied up with other universities for other such events. We have held one on philosophy, 2 or 3 conferences, international level. We have held a conference with Nalanda Mahavihara. But the events that stand out hugely are Dhamma, the 2 conferences, and the Soft Power conference, because Nalanda itself is a symbol of India's soft power. You know, this is the first, because I think Nalanda has touched all aspects of human growth. You find that we have been able to get scholars from across the world through trade routes, through sea links, you know, and wherever Buddha traversed, the seeds of knowledge have sprouted, that have sort of held up a beacon to the world. And we continue to do that through our events that we're going to hold once we are ready to, move forward in the new campus with all the infrastructure.
Finally, how would you sum up your vision and imagination for the institution? And where do you see the university in the next 10 years?
Cutting edge research, an international academic architecture, innovative programs that we are embarking on. These should be the ground reality in the next couple of years. And in a decade from now, the institution should be an institution to reckon with. World over, one should look at Bihar and try to gauge how Nalanda has traversed in the past 10 years and has been able to establish, hopefully we do. Where building institutions and imagination is concerned, I think it's very important to be realistic, to have realistic goals, to study the ambience, to study the facilities that can come from the surrounding places. What can government extend to the institution? While we have our goals and vision in place, we have to look at our supporting structures. Only then an institution can come forward. Now, where students are concerned, when you have diverse student profile, right now we have students from about 20 countries. We are hoping in the next decade or so, there'll be more countries joining, you never know. Right now we have students from Canada, New Zealand, US, apart from East Asian countries. So we do get students from the so-called very advanced countries as well to come to Nalanda. So I foresee, my vision is that we don't just have a cutting edge research, but cutting edge research in innovative programs. Programs that would cater to the requirement of a new world, which is very futuristic in nature. We need to work in advance as to which are the new courses that would be that much more meaningful for the new world. You look at ecology and environment, nature is telling us a whole lot of things. Past couple of months, I think we've all woken up to the reality that we have not paid enough attention to our Mother Earth. So I think that's where ecology and environment plays a very, very important role. Our management techniques have to change. We have to map our plus points and then look at what can we give to the world that world does not have. So we need to map what is it that the world lacks and what can India contribute in that direction that education is concerned. So these are things that need to be, we need to have a vision for that. We need to have future leaders, educational leaders, who can actually envision which areas would be more promising or would have the potential of research and cap on that, work towards that, and build new research domain.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. And throughout the course of our conversation, I can see the passion, the enthusiasm, and the optimism with which you are fully and emotionally invested in this project. And the next couple of years, I'm sure I'll be a personal beneficiary of this, not only as a part of India Foundation, but also as a citizen of Bihar. And it's my home state. So anything good happens, and probably we look forward to more such conversation in the future, ma'am. Thank you so much. Have a great day, ma'am.